Hi, I'm Mary Mulard. Welcome to the Lecom Healthy Living Kitchen. Dairy is an important part of a healthy diet. Today, we're going to show you how to use cheese in your meals, a tasty way to satisfy the dairy requirement. As you know, the Lecom Healthy Living Kitchen is about healthy cooking done tastefully. So today, I'll be cooking a wonderful smoky frittata with smoked mozzarella cheese. Then I'll make a delicious turkey apple panini with Caraway Gouda cheese. But first, we'll take a stop at Culinary Creamery in northwestern Pennsylvania to sample some fresh, handmade homestead cheese that we'll use today. So let's get cooking. Hi everybody, this is Mary Mulard and we're here today with Lori Showman of Showman Farms out here in beautiful Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a gorgeous day. I think you've seen some of the cuts of right outside in Lori's farm. Lori is also the owner of Culinary Creamery, here part of Showman Farms, and she is a farmstead cheese producer, has a beautiful business here, and we're going to talk to Lori a little bit about it. So Lori, tell me where you got the name Culinary Creamery.
Well, the farm here, we have about 225 acres on this farm, and right over the hill from here at the cheese house is Culinary Creek. And Culinary is an old Indian word which means land of the big snow, and as most people know, around the Edinburgh area we have a lot of snow.
Land of the big snow, that is definitely true around here.
So we named the cheese business after the creek that runs through the property.
I love it, beautiful. Now tell me, so Showman Farms has been in your husband's family for a couple years?
Since 1892.
My goodness,
yeah.
My goodness.
My grandson Eli, who was just born in April, is going to be the 9th generation if he continues on the farming.
I love it. And just talking to you a little bit earlier, Lori was telling me about her, she got an education, you were an education major,
yep.
Going to be a teacher until you...
married a dairy farmer, yeah.
And there you go. So you're working on the farm. Well,
yep.
What a great life. And really, we thank you for all you do to feed us.
Well, thanks.
And I have to say, I've seen your product in one of our local stores in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I love your cheese. And I thought, my gosh, this would be great to talk to people and let people know that you don't always have to go to the dairy section of your grocery store and find that commodity cheese and buy that or that processed cheese. Tell me the difference, Lori, between artisan cheese and farmstead cheese, because you just kind of educated me on that a few minutes ago.
Okay, the farmstead cheese is what we do here. We milk our own cows, and we have some piping here in the cheese house where we directly, as we're milking our cows, we take those pipes, drop them into our cheese vat, and the milk is coming directly from the cows into our cheese vat, and then we make the cheese. So that's farmstead cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Artisan cheese is similar. It's also cheese made in small batches,
yes.
But it's, to my understanding, it's cheese that is made from milk bought by the cheesemaker from a farmer somewhere.
Okay, beautiful. So Lori, have you always made cheese here at Showman Farms?
No, this is a new venture for us. It's an addition to the farm. Most people should know that the American farmer is having a hard time making a living, especially dairy farmers. And
absolutely.
So we sold our large herd of cattle, kept just 20 milkers, and we decided to go the route of making cheese instead of that to help us save our cows, who we love very much. So anyway.
One great tidbit about Culinary cheese is that each of the cheese is named after the cow that the milk comes from. So give me some of the names of the cheese.
Okay, well, we have Rings Havarti.
Okay, delicious.
Yeah, and yes. Rings is our girl. We call her our antique girl. She's 23 years old.
Okay.
We have Jenny's Jarlsberg. We have Goosey's Gouda. And we have Lumpajack, and Lumpa's one of our cows too. So we like to name the cheese after the cows.
I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
When I was out here last time, we just got some of your curds, and one of your cute little cashiers, and that day Lori had some of the neighbor kids and they were cashing us out. And how old are those kids? Like
8, 10.
8 and 10,
yeah.
adorable. And they said, these are way better than cheese sticks. And you know what? My kids loved them. We just ate them up. So
good.
yeah, they were
Glad you liked
delicious.
them.
So
Yeah.
the point is, get out there, try something new, try to buy local. Ask your cheese department what is the local cheese that they carry, and if they don't, they should be carrying it. So Lori, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and I can't wait to get in the barn. So when you think of grilled cheese, what do you think of? You think of white bread, processed American cheese, lots of butter on the outside of the bread. Well, today I thought I'd show you a healthier version of a grilled cheese. And I guess I got inspired when I went and met Goosey, who made, the milk came from Goosey to make our Goosey Gouda with caraway. And we're gonna make a panini with some fresh sliced turkey, some of Goosey's Gouda, and apple slices, a little mustard, and we're gonna use a non-stick vegetable spray instead of butter to reduce the saturated fat and reduce the fat overall. Really simple. You don't need a panini maker, just FYI. You can use a non-stick pan, and I'll talk about that in a second. So the first thing I wanna do is we have some Granny Smith apples, nice and crisp. I started slicing some already, but just to show you, it doesn't take much. You don't have to core them. We're just gonna make some really thin slices of the apples. If you don't have Granny Smith, just use a nice crisp apple, something that you have at home. And make nice thin slices. When you start to get to the seeded area, you can just turn the apple around and keep slicing. We're gonna make 4 sandwiches. I have a big crew here today, so I need to feed everybody. I think that's good. We got to the seed, so this is a nice little snack for somebody. We'll put those aside. Have the apples already. We have our cheese slices, and we have some nice lean turkey. If you have any leftover chicken breast, you can use that as well, or you can just do the cheese and the apple. That's really good too. We're gonna use some nice whole wheat, whole grain bread. And just to give you kind of an FYI, so many of us kind of grew up on that white bread, and we're trying to change over to whole wheat. A couple things that you want to remember. You want to look for the whole. Many bread manufacturers call it wheat bread and it's colored brown, but if it doesn't say whole in front of it, it's really just colored brown, non-whole grain bread. So you really want to look for the whole in whole wheat. Gonna go ahead, take 8 slices of bread because we're gonna make 4 sandwiches, and we're gonna spread one side with mustard. And this is a nice whole grain mustard. You can use Dijon if you'd like. There's all sorts of mustards out there. Now, one of my colleagues here does not like mustard, so for you, I will leave it unadulterated. Go ahead, spread the mustard on. And I have preheated the panini maker over here. I'm gonna go ahead and put some turkey. And again, you can use chicken, or if you don't have any turkey, you can go ahead and just have a plain grilled cheese sandwich. The apple adds a really nice, crisp, kind of tart flavor to it. Next, we're gonna put the apple slices, and these are nice big pieces of whole grain bread. And I'm gonna put 2 apple slices, depending on your bread size. And get a nice big one here. Put those on. I think at this point, I am going to put a little salt and pepper on these, just a little, season it up, okay? And some pepper. There we go. And now Goosey Gouda. Now I have to say I wore this shirt as an homage to Goosey, and I hope you enjoyed that footage from Culinary. Just such a beautiful place right here in our backyard, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful day to go out there and spend at Showman Farms. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Caraway Gouda on each one. Here we go. Set that aside. Top them off. And now, if you don't have a panini maker, and there's a couple different options. One I talked about was having using a non-stick pan, and you can just set it in there. If you're feeling really crazy, you can put a plate on top of the sandwich and then put like a large can of tomatoes or something to kind of weight it and press it, because a panini maker presses the sandwich. So you can do that. If you don't, you can just cook it in a non-stick pan, just how you might cook a regular grilled cheese sandwich. I'm going and spraying both sides of the bread with this before I put it in the panini maker. And I have at home I have a cast iron grill pan, and I use that at home because I don't have a panini maker at home, and I just do the same thing. I put either a plate with a can of tomatoes on top. Sometimes I'll use the insert from a tart pan, just something flat to weigh down the sandwich. I'm going to go ahead and put it in our preheated panini maker, and I think we'll be able to fit a couple of these in. And it's going to just take a few minutes to, until it's nice and brown. So they are just about done from the panini maker. I took 2 off. The last 2 are ready to come out. Goosey is melting and delicious. We're going to put these right down here, and we're going to go ahead and cut into them. And you can see the cheese kind of melting right there. We'll cut into this one. Goosey would be so proud. All right, there we go. And what is better than a grilled cheese sandwich served with tomato soup? So you can see the nice, you can see the cheese, you can see the apple and the turkey. It's nice and warm. And away you go. Enjoy a delicious, healthy version of a grilled cheese and tomato soup. We all like to snack, and it can be good for us if we're smart about it. Instead of chips or cookies, why not try some mixed nuts? They give you a boost of energy with 3 grams of healthy fiber in every serving. And if you're trying to keep a healthy weight, almonds are a great way to go also. Fruits are always a sweet treat, and by putting them within eyesight, a bowl on the counter say, you're more likely to grab them the next time you're hungry. But if you do go with junk food, there are still some simple things you can do. First, try to avoid salt. Processed foods are full of salt, and you just don't want to have too much of it. But once in a while, it's okay to grab some chips. To avoid overindulging, take your snack out of its bag, put it on a plate. Eat slower so your body can properly digest your food. It also helps you not to eat too much. Another common reason we end up overeating is that we eat while being distracted. Be mindful while you eat. Also, don't confuse thirst for hunger. Being thirsty makes us think we're hungry, so remembering to stay well hydrated could, in the end, cut down on the snacks you eat throughout the day. So we are going to make what is called a smoky frittata, and it uses fresh cauliflower, which I love this recipe because it's another way to use flour, incorporate vegetables with the protein, and it makes a nice hearty entree, lunch, side dish even. So first thing we're going to do is start with a head of cauliflower. You're going to look for something nice, creamy colored without any blemishes. We're going to take off the greens, and we're going to cut them into medium-sized florets. So just take off the greens as best you can. I like to take a little paring knife and kind of go around the base of the cauliflower to get the heart out, the core. I'm going to break that off, get rid of that, and get rid of any of the greens. And then at this point, we're just gonna cut them into florets. If the stems are really long, I'm just gonna trim them off a little bit. Actually, this is a great healthy snack right here. You could put it in the frittata, but I'm just gonna save that. And I want the florets to be uniform in size. So I'm gonna take off some of the long stems, put those to the side. And I'm just using a paring knife to do this. Okay, and I think we're good, and we're just gonna cut them into florets. In the meantime, while you're doing this, have a large pot of water, salted water on the stove, and you wanna bring it to a boil, because what we're gonna do is blanch these florets, and we're gonna put them in boiling water for about 4 to 5 minutes. You want them to be slightly tender, but what I would call al dente. Which is just has a little bit of firmness to them, because they're going to continue cooking in the frittata. This frittata I got, it's a recipe from one of the cookbooks I have, and the recipe calls for creme fraiche in it, which is a very high-fat cream. And I'm going to use Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt in this recipe instead to kind of lighten it up. And I have to say, I've had it both ways, and I really do not see any great difference. They're delicious both ways, but I really kind of prefer it with the Greek yogurt. So once you have the cauliflower in medium florets, and I am just going to move those to the side for a second because I have, voila, the magic of television, I have them already blanched. So what we're gonna do at this point is we're gonna take 6 eggs, and I'm just gonna set the cauliflower here for right now that we're not gonna use. I have 6 eggs, and in these eggs, I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of, actually, I'm gonna use the Dijon mustard, I think, this time for this recipe. About 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Put that in there. And I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of the non-fat Greek yogurt that I talked about. And it just adds, like, it makes for a creamier frittata. A frittata is like the Spanish version of an omelet, but yet we're going to go ahead and finish this off in the oven. We're going to set about a 10-inch saute pan on top of the burner on medium-high heat. Right now, we're gonna get that going. I'm gonna go ahead and add some salt and some pepper. You can use white pepper or black pepper. I'm gonna put those in right into the eggs, and we're gonna go ahead and whisk them together. I also have 2 teaspoons of smoky, or I guess it's called smoked paprika, which I love this ingredient. It really, I use this a lot now. It's very flavorful. It's paprika that has just a smoky flavor. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that into the egg mixture. And we're gonna mix all that. Actually, it'd be nice to have a nice balloon whisk with this, which is a little bit bigger. Get my workout, my biceps. Okay. So when your pan over here is getting nice and hot, and again, it's on medium-high heat, great. You're gonna go ahead and put some olive oil in the pan. And don't forget, all these recipes are available on cookhealthytoday.com. So I'm gonna get that olive oil nice and hot, make sure the sides of the pan are coated with the olive oil. I also want to add some fresh chives. And again, these were in our CSA this summer. So I'm just going to start them off a little bit. Nice even edges. Here, let me move this to the side for a second. Just going to finely chop the chives. I was telling one of the guys here, one of my first times in a professional kitchen in France, the chef asked me to chop the chives, and I chopped them completely incorrectly. They were not small enough, they were not fine enough, so that stuck with me. So now I'm all about chopping the chives really fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple tablespoons of chives into the frittata mixture over here. Get that going. That looks good. Look at the beautiful color of those eggs with the smoked paprika. Okay, so now we have the head of cauliflower. We have some olive oil in the pan. I'll move this out of the way. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna brown the cauliflower. So the cauliflower was in the boiling water for about 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. We drained it and we dried it. So you don't want it to be real watery. And we want to get this nice and brown. Okay. We're going to let that sit on medium heat. Shouldn't take too long. I think I'm going to season this a little bit too. Now, one thing that I really haven't talked about, and I kind of forget to talk about this before we start cooking, but you know, anytime I go into the kitchen and anytime you go into the kitchen, it's really important to wash your hands really well. And to wash your hands really well is not a 2.5-second rinse under the water. It's really getting soap on the top and bottom of your hands. Use hot water, as hot as your hands can take it. And you want to wash your hands really for 20 to 30 seconds, getting in between your fingers, top of your hands, bottom of your hands, really like a surgeon, all the way up to your wrists if you can. So it's really important for healthy living to start off by washing your hands properly, keeping your kitchen properly cleaned as well. You can see it's starting to brown here. I'm just going to turn up the heat just a little bit. And it's browning really nicely. Once it gets brown, we're going to go ahead and put in the egg mixture on top. And then we're going to finish it off in the oven for about 10 minutes at 375. So while we're waiting for that to brown just a little bit more, one thing I do want to add at this point is we have we have Showman Farms smoked Gouda. You could also use smoked mozzarella, which is really delicious in this recipe. I think it's about 5 ounces, and it's shredded. We went ahead and shredded it. I'm going to put about 3/4 of that into the egg mixture. And we also have some cheddar cheese as well. And I'm going to put that into the egg mixture, about 3/4 of that as well into the egg mixture. We're saving some of this for the top of the frittata before it goes in the oven. So I'll just mix that in just 1 second. Don't want to, yes. It's looking good, getting nice and brown on some of the sides. Great. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mix in the cheese. So now if you wanted to make this a little bit lighter, reduce the saturated fat perhaps, you could add more egg whites and less egg yolks. I think the egg yolks add some nice richness, some good flavor, but some of you may be looking to cut back a little bit on the saturated fat. All right. So there we go. You can see it really starting to get nice and brown, so that's exactly how we want to have it. I'm going to go ahead and with a fork, I'm going to go ahead and pour the egg mixture on top. So you want to take a fork and put the egg mixture and just make sure you move around the cauliflower so it's even in the pan. You're going to cook it for about 2 or 3 minutes on top of the stove, and then we're going to put it in the oven, like I said, at 375. I will tell you, I made a mistake. It is 12 eggs, not 6 eggs. And you can see this serves 6 people, nice sized portions, 8 people, still nice sized portions. So before it goes in the oven, I'm going to take the rest of the smoky Gouda and put it on top. And the chives look really pretty in there too. We're gonna go ahead and put it in the oven for about 10 minutes. A few more chives on top, and away we go. Okay, so we took the frittata out of the oven. It was in there about 9 minutes at 375, but you wanna, of course, gauge your oven. The perfect frittata, when you take it out, is still somewhat, just slightly liquid in the center. You don't want it to be completely firm, because you take it out, you let it rest like we have done for a couple minutes, and it will continue to cook. So now you are ready to serve your delicious frittata. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. And you could just use a chef's knife, or you could use really any kind of knife here. And I'm gonna cut it into 6ths. And we're gonna get that on a plate. This is really nicely served with a peppery salad, something like arugula with maybe some radishes and just a light vinaigrette. I think it's coming out, okay. I'm gonna put it on a plate here, and a nice piece of crusty whole grain bread. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the plate. Oh, that looks really, really good. We'll just garnish it up for the camera. And right here I have some, just some Boston lettuce, and we'll just put some greens on the plate. Make it look pretty for you out there in TV land. A nice piece of crusty bread, and you have a delicious, wholesome, really good meal. Enjoy.
Get your healthy living tips and recipes from cookhealthytoday.com.